me good?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's good. Okay. I I never I never did this yet, so let me hit record and should be all good. Hopefully it goes all good. So first off, welcome. Um, so how did you get started with the whole car stuff?
So my dad and uncles, they raced my whole life growing up, and so I grew up at the racetracks, and I just fell in love with the sport, and I knew that's what I always wanted to do.
Okay, so what kind of racing do you normally do? Because I see it on your page like it's more like it's not like your traditional type of racing. So like, what is it really?
So I used to do asphalt stock car racing, but since I moved to Kentucky, I started doing dirt stock car racing. So I race on circle tracks.
And for those who don't know what that is, you want to go like more in depth with both of them?
Yeah, so the asphalt tracks we always run, it's short track racing. So the track I used to run on was 3/8 of a mile, and the car I had out there was I believe it was like a '73 Camaro. We're not too sure on the year just because everyone kind of changes them up. Um, but I believe it was a '73 Camaro, and uh, ran that for 2 years, and then I moved over to dirt, and it's about the same thing, same size track. It's just instead of asphalt, it's dirt. Um, and I started running a Monte Carlo chassis, but they both have the same motors and everything. We run 602 motors.
Oh wow, yeah, that's definitely a pretty good size motor on that car. Um, so was the transition from the asphalt to dirt like a little challenging? Um, because obviously, like when you're doing so much on asphalt and then you switch to dirt, like it's like a whole different type of ball game. So how was that like going from asphalt to the dirt racing?
Going from asphalt to dirt racing was pretty challenging. Everything I learned on asphalt, I kind of had to throw out the window because nothing translates over to dirt. Um, so what I tell people when I'm explaining it, like everything I learned on asphalt, I don't use any of it on dirt, but what I learned from dirt, I can use all of it on asphalt.
So what are some things that, because I'm sure when you made the change, right, people told you, hey, like did did people give you any tips that helped you in like when you did the change?
Yeah, I had a couple of people who helped me learn how to race the track. Um, they told me things like instead of going in and trying to turn and you know how they say in cars turn right to go left. Instead of doing that, use your brakes to drive it on the dirt. Um, and you still will counter steer, but you don't set it up by steering into it. You set it up by using your brakes.
Now, was that more of like a visual thing? Because you know, like when I mean, it's different when people tell you how versus really how you do it. So what? So were those tips really something that like you caught on from just them telling you, or you had to be on the track to learn that?
It was definitely something I had to learn by being on the track. You can picture it in your head all you want, but once you get out there and you actually feel the dirt's always different. Um, Once you feel it, then you just kind of it'll click.
Yeah, because so when I think about stock car racing, like I think about like aggressive competitors. Because I mean,
Mhm.
I because I'm so used to racing like on the like on a straight line,
Mhm.
and I know it's different, but what? what made you get into that? You know, because like when I'm sure you had like a a ton of more options like drag racing or short course or circuit. So what made you say, Noah, I want to be a little different. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So like, what made you really go that route? I think you were saying your dad and uncle were doing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when they were doing it or when they told you about it, like was that something you wanted to do or because they just brung it up?
Well, since I did grow up at the racetracks, that's all I knew was it was asphalt. I wasn't really too familiar with dirt, honestly. And I didn't know until I was a lot older about drag racing. Like my brother was more into different kinds of racing, but I was just focused on short track, asphalt. I loved it. And then I did start learning about drag racing as I got older, and it just wasn't as appealing to me over like beating and banging and rubbing with your competitors. I thought there was a lot of thrill in that, and um, I love watching drag racing. I love being there. I prefer to race right next to my competitor.
Yeah, like so what's that like? So like were you pretty nervous like on your first race or like how did that go? Knowing that like the person by you will rub you literally.
Yeah, it was super intimidating. Just knowing that they could be beating and banging with me. At first, when I started, I was super cautious. So when someone would come near me, I'd kind of back off and let them go around me. But then I started getting more comfortable on the track. So I started beating and banging with them because if you don't, they're gonna like drive into you and they're just gonna use you up on the track. So if you're being passive, they're gonna take advantage of it.
Yeah, because it's not like how in drag racing where like you're a couple feet from the guy next to you, and if he rubs you, then that's not a good thing. But
Yeah.
like, but so what was your first race like? Like, uh, other than the fact that knowing that like um someone's gonna hit you, like were you super nervous on your first race?
Yeah, I was definitely super nervous on my first race, and I don't think those nerves have ever gone away. I still get super nervous with every
Oh
race.
wow, even now too?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I wear an Apple Watch all the time, and I checked it before one of my races, and I was just sitting there, and it was like 200 beats per minute. I was so nervous.
Oh no, speaking of the Apple Watch, so I have one too. And and they have a feature to where if you're in a bad wreck, like they call the cops within 5 minutes. Did that ever happen to you or not really?
Honestly, I didn't even think of that. I didn't get in any really bad wrecks last season, and that was the first season I started wearing it. So I'll have to get back to you on that this season if I have a chance.
Yeah, this stalker racing does look fun, man. I mean, I might have to travel there and see for myself.
It's a lot of fun. I would love to have you out here.
But yeah, like just to chill with you guys and see like what all the hype is about. Um, I know here in Michigan we really don't have a lot of that stuff. I think there's a local one, but it's more like derby. I don't think it's
Mhm.
really uh stock car racing. But so correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a four-time champion, right?
I got runner up for the championship this season.
Oh, so as far as championships, you're not really a champion, right?
No, not yet. I haven't won a champion. I do have a couple rookie of the years under my belt. I have one from, or I actually have two from Asphalt because I was at two different tracks. And then this season I got rookie of the year, runner up for the championship. Um, and then I got rookie of the year from my motor builder. They did their own little awards thing, so I got that one as well. And then I have
So
most improved driver from Asphalt as well.
yeah, so for those who don't know, you want to explain what the runner-up is? Because I mean, when you think of stock car racing, that's not really a known thing to do as far as like racing goes. So do you want to touch more on that?
Yeah, I finished second in points behind first place, so um we call it runner up in point.
Okay, yeah. So basically, the terminology is a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were saying that the that your average motor is a 602, right? So
Mhm.
so power wise, like what are we talking?
I believe we have about 360 wheel horsepower.
Okay, yeah, and now is that more like of a class thing or that's just all of them in general? Because like in racing, like how they have a different class and all that. So does that apply to that too, or how does that work?
Yeah, we have different divisions. So like when you go to a local dirt track, you're gonna have anywhere from like 6 to 8 divisions, and it goes from like uh super late models, 602 late models, um 604s, modifieds, street stocks. Most of us do run 602s. Um, and then we have a 604 class. And then below us, we have our entry level class, which is they have a lot of four cylinders and just like six cylinders. And just for the people who are starting out in racing, they can race something with less power and get the hang of it and then jump into a bigger car with a bigger motor.
So per class, do they only allow a certain type of cylinder or how does that work? Like for example, can someone within your class like have a four cylinder or a six cylinder or how does that work?
Each class has their own rule book. So like the entry level class, they'll say you can only run this chassis, this motor. And then like my class, you can only run a certain chassis, certain motor. So there's no mixing and matching. Some of the lower classes they will, like you can run a six cylinder or a four cylinder. But once you start getting up there, the rules are pretty strict and they're all keeping the cars pretty even.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so as far as the rubbing goes, like, were you ever in a case to where it got pretty rough on the track?
Yeah, there's been a couple times I got into it a little bit with another driver. I've left with bruises and stuff, but nothing too bad. I'd say probably my worst crash was last season. Um, the guy in front of me, we were coming to the checkers and we were battling for position, and he lost his car and came across the front of my car, and I hit him pretty good. But I haven't had anything that's super severe. I've always been able to walk away from it, maybe a little sore, but nothing ever really wrong.
Now, do some of those rubbings come like are they more like personal like after the race is over? Like what was there ever a case to where a driver like confronted you after a race or was it like just hey it's just part of the race man like nothing too serious?
I've had a few incidents where people like to retaliate after.
Oh wow.
Last season, yeah, they're not supposed to, and they're supposed to get kicked out for it, but nobody saw the most recent one. I won my race and we were battling for position and he was rubbing me on the track, which is normal. But then after the race was over, we crossed the start finish line and he just plowed into the side of me.
Holy
And
crap! Wow.
yeah, I was pretty upset about it, but I was also a little stunned because I didn't know that the race was over or that I had won because the caution came out right as I crossed the line. So I thought we were gonna have to do a green, white, checkered, and I thought I was gonna have to battle it out with him again. But I was just a little confused, and so I didn't really process, and nobody saw it, so there wasn't any repercussions for him. But then another time most people after the race, they'll like to run their mouth a little bit. So back when
Oh
I was
yeah,
running
typical.
asphalt, yeah, back when I was running asphalt, this guy came up and he was running his mouth to me, and I was 16 at the time, so it was kind of it was a little embarrassing for him. But my dad just told me, uh, like step back. My dad handled it, and then there was another time. I really don't remember what happened on the track. We rub and we race, and uh I never hit someone on purpose, and if I do, I go apologize. But my dad came up to me after the race as I was coming off the track. He said, "Keep your helmet on and your window net up and don't get out of your car." And I was like, "Oh no, I must have rubbed someone wrong on the track."
Wow.
But yeah.
So two questions. So you said something about a green runner, something like that,
Yeah,
or
green, white, checkered.
yeah. So what is that?
So that's when like we're coming to the checkered and there's an incident on the track and they throw the caution, and so
Okay.
we don't actually cross the start finish line before they throw the caution. So then we do run three more laps to just make sure that we get the real winner.
So I think the last story you said was when you were 16.
Yeah, 15 and
So
16.
so how young were you when you started?
I was
You had to be
15
young,
when I
yeah.
started.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
15. That's really young, dude. That's so. What's like the average age for people like that?
um Honestly, you can start a lot younger. Back when I was like 5 or 6, we did have a little quarter midget, which we never ran on a racetrack. We just ran it in the front yard, and then we moved up, and you can start racing a full size car like I raced at 14.
Jeez.
But yeah, I started at 15, and then like my siblings, they started a lot younger than me. I think they were like 10, 11 when we started racing.
Oh yeah. So it's definitely like a family thing then,
Absolutely.
pretty
We have
much.
5 cars right now, and then my dad has a couple cars, and we've always just had a bunch of race cars.
Yeah. So because I know a while ago when we first met, you had that Camaro, and now you have the Chevy truck, right? So
Mhm.
so were you always a bow tie girl, or you don't really care for care for the brand?
Well, I grew up Chevy, so I love my bow ties. We have all Chevys here.
Right.
But I do love I love basically every other car.
Yeah, speaking of Chevys, I forgot that kid's name, man. With the twin turbo Camaro, Kyle.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I really like his car. Which we were planning to do a pot too, but I I just didn't have time because of the whole job thing. But anyhow, do you still have that Camaro or no?
No, I wish I did, but I don't have it anymore.
So now you have the truck, right? Is that a 5.3 or
Yeah, it's a 5.3. I just use it to tow the car to the track now.
nice? And so how many of those cars do you have? Like the dirt cars?
We currently have five of them. We
Oh
have
wow, five.
two Monte Carlos and three Camaros, I believe.
Nice. And all of those are like the older chassis, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So while we were trying to set this up, we were talking about the whole job thing. So how did you get in? No, sorry. Before we cover that, how often is it for a girl, right, to be in that type of racing? Because because whenever you think about racing, like it's not really like it's hard. It's not often you see a girl doing that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Nonetheless, the rubbing.
Yeah, I was always back when I was in California, my first season I was the youngest competitor and I was the only girl. And then I'm still the only girl in the division that I run now. I'm not the youngest anymore because now my brother's running with us, but definitely the only girl out there.
Yeah, and that was my point too, because I did interview other girls too that are in the whole car scene, and it's like everywhere, like you just don't see a lot of them. I don't know if that's
Mhm.
like a personal thing or just not a habit, but it's definitely not um something common in that
Yeah, it's
way.
not.
So speaking of being a girl, you're into the blue collar job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's not many of girls in there too, and especially what you do now with the whole tower thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I used to so I actually moved to sales. They gave me a promotion, but of course I'll still go out there and work on the towers. But before I was installing monitoring systems on tower lights and I was climbing and I got to learn how to take antennas off of towers and I got to install a high intensity system on a tower in Cincinnati, which was pretty cool. So I got to see the town of Cincinnati from 850 feet up in the air.
Yeah, see, I mean, I don't see how you do it because like my number two things that I'm scared of is deep water and heights, and going 800 feet is seems to be really high.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to a tower that's 2,000 feet tall. I'm
Oh
trying to get to
no,
the top of it.
you're just crazy now.
That's the goal of mine for this year is to reach the top of one of those.
So, where do they even have a tower that high? Because I mean, that's taller than some buildings.
Yeah, they have a few of them in your bigger cities. Um, like I'm not too sure if Cincinnati has them, but like Nashville has some pretty tall towers. Um, like Atlanta, Georgia, a couple places down there have some pretty tall towers, but a lot of them are in Texas and North Carolina as well. We do a lot of installs out there.
Also, basically, you kind of you kind of like travel for work, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
was traveling 5 days a week for every week.
well, and even now or prior?
This was prior. Now I'm starting to
Okay.
travel a little bit more, doing trade shows and stuff, so I get to go talk to customers. And then I will get to travel and go work on some towers when I want to.
And so you want to do that, like as far as heights goes?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So tell me about your first time going up a tower like that high. Like, were you like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do this, or you didn't want to show the other guys that you were scared of that?
Well, The first tower I climbed, I only got to about 200 feet, which was about halfway up the tower, and we were sitting there working. The only complaint I had, like I was loving it up there. It was cool getting to see everything from that high up, but it was really cold up there. But it was also middle of December. Um, that was the only complaint I had, and then I got on another one down in Mississippi, and it was warmer. Um, and I went up to 600 feet on that one. And the only thing was the wind was really bad, and it was actually a little dangerous for us to be up there, so we did have to come back down. But I love it. I'm not scared of it or anything. Um, I do get in my head a little bit when I'm up there and I'm not doing anything with my hands. I'll start looking down and I'm like, that's a long way down. But never enough for me to want to come down from the tower.
Yeah, like and like I'm sure you're comfortable with going up there now, but every once in a while, like, do you ever look down and say, "Know what? If something happens, I'm gone."
Yeah, there are moments when I do that. And so when we're up there, we have to clip on, and they call it like a working lanyard, so it keeps you up close to the tower, and you can sit in your harness, and you don't have to worry about holding on anymore once you're attached. Um, and sometimes where it's connected, it'll slip, and they call it a mini heart attack, but it's gotten me a couple times, and uh, it'll definitely make you panic.
So you mentioned that the highest you went was 800 feet, right? Or 850?
850, yeah.
Now, was that to change the light or what was that 800 for?
Yeah, we were up there taking down the old lighting system and putting a new LED system on the tower.
So how long does that usually take, like to change a light?
That took us because we were installing a whole system. That took us 4 days, and then
Oh my
they
God,
had to
four
go back
days.
up. Yeah, they had to go back up that night, which was Thursday night, and they had to turn off all of the AM, like all of the frequencies and stuff, so that way they could climb up the antenna at the very tippy top and put a light up there. But I didn't go do that.
So so I'm guessing those 4 days were probably what, like a 10, 12 hour shift, or
Oh
how
yeah,
do the shifts work up there?
we got there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we worked probably about till 6 or 7 in the evening. I was up on the tower, I'd say about 80% of the time. Um, as soon as we get there, we had to get everything ready to go up on the tower because it's easier to get everything assembled on the ground so that way we don't risk dropping stuff up there. And then we start climbing up the tower, and then the guys on the ground, they'll attach everything to ropes and they'll send it up the tower, and then we have to try and catch everything coming in because it'll stay far away from it. And so we have to like kind of like swing it into the tower, and then someone will catch it, and then we can start attaching it. But yeah, the whole 4 days, the first couple were just we got there, got everything set up, got everything where it needed to be. Started climbing up. Someone took the rope to the very top so that way we could get our rigging system in line so we could start getting stuff up there. And then the next day was just taking the old system down and getting everything off of the tower so we could start putting all of our new stuff up there.
So you mentioned you guys gotta catch things, right? So what if
Yeah.
you so what if you don't catch it?
Well, it is still like attached to the rope. It'll just come in
Okay.
and hit the tower.
Oh, so you guys don't have like like how other blue collar jobs like have like a little bucket or a tool belt that people carry up there. Um,
Mm.
do do you guys have something similar to that, or how does that work? Like, what
Yeah, we
tools do you do you guys usually have?
We have like these little I guess you could kind of call them buckets. They're like fabric. They're little pouches that go on our harnesses. We don't want to take a whole bunch of stuff up the tower while we're climbing just because it'll get us exhausted pretty quick. But we do have like bigger buckets that they'll send up on the rope, and that'll have all of our tools that we need in it. The only difference in like the tools that we have versus anyone else is all of ours are on a rope, so we don't drop them.
Okay, yeah, yeah, because God forbid that you drop something, then you gotta go 800 feet down to pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the stuff they'll send up, but one of the days I was up there, I was carrying a bunch of snap-ins, which is basically it holds the cable to the tower, and it's a bunch of metal pieces. And so I was climbing up with that and screwdrivers and um, just little things to attach it. But the bigger stuff, it'll come up with our lights, and it'll just come up on the rope, so nobody has to carry it up or down.
Now, you know, like how certain blue collar jobs are having a shortage of workers. Um, as far as the towers go, are you guys having a shortage too, or not really?
Not really. We have a pretty solid group of people who are working. Like we have new people come in, and some people just don't like it, and some people they don't mesh well, and we have people moving around all the time. But we haven't really had a shortage of people. We do have problems with finding like if we have if we sell lights to a company in California, we have trouble getting a contractor because we won't send our guys way out there, but we have trouble finding people out there or like other states to install it for us. So I know other people are, but our company's pretty good.
Yeah, because even in trucking, there's a shortage of people. But anyway, so like, what's the average salary for, like, let's say, like someone that's been in there for a year? Um, how long have you been in there for?
I've been with this company for over a year now.
Okay, so what's the average salary for someone that's been there for over a year?
Um, not as much as you would think. Um, I'm not sure salary, but I know that the guys start at like 18 to 20, and then they get like pretty regular bonuses and increases. Um, they get bonuses about every tower. So if they like overestimate how much it'll be, the guys will get like a $300 to $500 bonus per tower.
And so, and so, does that bonus come for a tower like every month or every week or like how many towers could you guys knock out within that span? Or
Um,
are you guys just working on like one specific tower?
it just depends on like what kind of tower. So there's anything from 200 to 700 feet. We call it a medium intensity tower. Those it can get knocked out like one a day, sometimes one every 2 days. But the high intensity, which is like 701 feet to 2,000 plus feet, those sometimes they'll take like a week or two, depending on weather and um, like wind and if they have everything they need and how everything is going. They did spend like 3 weeks at a tower in North Carolina, so it did slow them down a little bit. But um, yeah, it's usually one every week or two.
So when you before you started this tower job, did you have to go through like some kind of physical test or something to like get ready for that? Because I know for like some blue collar jobs, you gotta have uh like a certain thing to like even get in the job?
Mhm. Um, the only thing we did is they didn't like make me do anything except get certified, and I did that um like 2 months into me working there because at first I was doing a lot of groundwork, and then I got to go climb, and then a day later we went and they made sure like I could rescue somebody off of the tower if something happened. I could get somebody down, and they just made sure I was able to climb and I knew all of the rules, and that's about it. And then they certified me, and um, I think you have to recertify every year. I could be wrong, but I believe it's every year you have to get recertified.
Um, Run me through the whole thing with being able to rescue someone. Like like what would be an example of like someone getting hurt on a tower and like how would you save them?
So we like an incident where somebody would get hurt would be like we work with electricity, so they get shocked or something, or they just get overexhausted and you have to get them down. Basically, there's we call it a four-in-one. It's like a rope pulley system, so you can attach it to you and you attach it to the guy and you pull him up, and then he's attached to you, and we have like a safety rope. So there's two ropes on the tower. One is our pulley system, and then the other one is in case something goes wrong, you attach to that. And then we have I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but basically it'll let you come down the tower pretty quick down that one rope. Um, and sometimes they do have like I don't know. I've never used this one, so I'm not too sure about it, but basically it's like a winch and you can attach them to it and it'll bring them down themselves. But most of the time we just have a rope up there. Um, so if something does happen, you have the person attached to you, you attach to that rope, and then you can come down the tower pretty quick.
So did you ever see anything like that or not really?
Luckily, I haven't seen anything. My company has had a couple times when somebody did get zapped by the electricity, so they had to bring them down. And then they had somebody who was, they did get overexhausted and they had to bring him down too. But thankfully, I've never seen it and I've never had to rescue anyone. But they make everybody train for that before they're allowed up there.
So how many volts are we talking about? Like is this kind of the same voltage as a journeyman or or what are we talking
Um,
as far as volts go?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but it's like deadly voltage up there.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, what kind of, so you mentioned something about training, right? So, like, what does the training consist of as far as the towers go?
As far as what was the last part? Sorry.
As so, what does the training consist of as far as the tower goes?
Oh, so they'll have you come in and do like a PowerPoint class, so you have to listen to them talk and you have to learn all of the regulations, and um they'll explain to you like you have to have 2 points of contact on the tower at all times. Um and just like what OSHA is um goodness, I'm blanking on words right now. What OSHA requires, and then you have to take a written test, and then once you pass that written test, you get to go out. And my company has two training towers outside. They're about 40 feet tall, and our trainer will go out there and he will like hang there, and then you have to go and attach yourself to him and um, like get him down off of the tower safely, and you have to be able to do it without like having any help. And then when I first started, we didn't have those two training towers. We just went to a regular tower, and he just watched me go up the tower, and while I was up there, like what I would do, and basically just making sure I was following all of the rules that are put in place.
And I would imagine that there's a weight limit, right? Like not anyone anyone can go up a tower.
Um, I don't think so. I mean, it's just basically what the person's capable of doing, you know. I know that there was somebody who was like a little like not big but like hefty, like he was a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Um, he did go out there and he just realized like it wasn't for him, it was too physical for him, so he was like, no, I can't do it. But I mean, if they're willing to do it and they can do it, there's no real restriction on them.
So before the tower, you mentioned that you were on the ground, right? Um,
Hmm.
so what were you doing on the ground, really? Like, was it like something similar to the tower, or what was it?
Um, so instead of like doing installs on the lights, I was installing monitoring. All of the towers that you see, just when you go outside, they all have to be monitored per the FAA standards, which is the aviation. So airplanes, they have to have lights blinking, certain colors and everything. So the device that I was installing was to determine like if the light was blinking, and it would tell my company like we have a knock is what we call it, but there's a bunch of people in there, they're monitoring all of these sites, and it just tells them like the tower's working or it's not working and this is why it's not working, so that way they can file a NOTAM, which is notice to airmen, so that way airplanes don't fly into the towers.
Yeah, that's something else that I was gonna touch on because I forgot someone was telling me that that tower was basically, I mean, it wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but what exactly is that tower for other than to make sure the airmen aren't flying too low or too close?
So most of like the smaller towers, like the medium intensity, which is what I'm selling now, they have like your cell phone carriers, they have all of their antennas and stuff. Some of them have uh, radio broadcast on them, so your radios and your TV, they have those signals going out. The taller ones, those are mostly AM, FM broadcast towers. So it's to get all of that moving around the world. But we just do the lights on them, so that way the airplanes don't hit them.
You're right. So so similar to the whole car thing, um, were there anything that people told you about the light tower, like as far as before going up on there, and was it more of a hands-on thing, or was it something that like you could tell as far
um,
as teaching goes?
just like me wanting to get into towers, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So honestly, I didn't really have any interest in them, and then I was talking to someone who was working on them, and I started catching interest in it because I love all things adrenaline. And he basically said like you won't ever be able to climb towers, and so I put my mind to it and said I'm gonna go climb some towers. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I got out there and I love it. And so I was doing that for 6 months, and I got to climb a bunch of towers, travel everywhere, um, see a lot of really cool things. And I would love to go back out there and do it, but where I'm at right now, it is treating me really well. So I'm gonna stick with this and still go out and work on some towers when I can, but I don't think it'll be the end of the road for me on towers.
So it's something that you could see yourself going back to, right? As far as
Yes.
heights go.
Yeah. It's not a long-term career just because it is so physical. A lot of people get out of it about 25, 30, just because it's so taxing on your body.
Yeah.
But I'm still not there yet, so I have a
Hmm.
little bit of time
So
in me.
you mentioned that it's not really a long-term thing. So within the next 5 years, do you plan on being there or doing something new?
I'd probably still stick with the company I'm with. They're a really, really great company, and there's so many other opportunities. Like I could always go back to just doing the installs on the monitoring and stay on the ground, or what I'm doing now, selling the lights. They have like the monitoring back in our office, so I can sit there and just make sure all of the lights are working. There's a lot of opportunities I have with the company, so I don't see tower lights being a memory to me anytime
Hmm.
soon.
So you mentioned that what you do now, you sell them to clients, right? Like, so how does that work? Like, walk us through like a example of like selling something to a client.
So since like most sales, like car sales, they can walk up to somebody in the world and be like, "Hey, you should buy this car." But I can't walk up to someone and be like,
Right. So,
"Hey,
hey,
you should
to
buy a
buy a
tower
light.
light."
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, there's a very select group of people that I can sell to. So a lot of my time in the office is spent looking at like next week I'm going to a couple of sales shows and it's for broadcasters and tower companies. So I go through their website and I look up like who's gonna be there, and so I'll email them, and I just have to do so much research and looking for companies who do broadcast, like talk to radio companies, talk to like state patrol because they have communications towers as well that need lights. So I have to do a lot of digging and research, but a lot of it is just trying to steal competitors' customers and
Nice.
just try and sell them our lights instead of their provider.
So, do you get paid from commission or how does that work?
I get paid by the hour. We don't
Okay.
do commission, which I'm kind of bummed about because I'd be making a lot of money, but I do get bonuses every now and then, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, like so what was something you learned about selling? Like, is there a certain way you gotta talk, a certain way you gotta um show up, or how does that work?
Thankfully, my company has a light that's different from our competitors. It's like crazy different. Um, Most of our competitors, they have a lot of like electronics up in the beacon, which is the light up at the top, and ours has no control in the beacon, so a lot of like replacing parts happens on the ground, so you don't have to climb as much for our towers or our lights. Um, and so that's a way that I get to approach them. I'm like, hey, would you rather fix everything on the ground than have to climb, or would you rather keep climbing and fixing those parts up there that are breaking? And so that's a really huge advantage for me to like try and steal people from our competitors. But um, that's about it. I just pitch them how good our system is. Our system's super easy to install compared to theirs, and uh, yeah.
I mean, and I would imagine that they would rather fix it on the ground and not up top, right?
Absolutely. They try and stay away from climbing as much as they can.
So what's the success rate when it comes to selling a product?
Honestly, it's it's a toss up because some people they'll just come to us and want a quote and they'll get quotes from all of the other companies and they present that to their customer and the customer says, "I want this one." And so then my leads don't go anywhere. But recently I've had really good connections with customers and so they're starting to send people my way. which is pretty cool. And those usually do go somewhere because they know that their friend has already used us and they love us. And so, like, those kind of sales, it's about 90% of the time I do get it. But all of the other ones, just asking for a quote, it's not super common that I get it just because there's so many other people and everyone's lowballing trying to get the sale.
Yeah, that lowballing thing is a big deal. Like when it comes um to sell to selling, and I would imagine that your company is more of quality over quantity, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Um, so did you ever go to one of those sales shows, or will this upcoming one be your first?
This will be my first one. I actually have two of them this week, or like not this week, but next week. I'll be in Memphis, and then in the middle of it, I'm gonna go to Nashville, and then I might go back to the Memphis show. But there's two of them at the same time, so luckily those are close enough to each other that I can justify going to both of them.
So out of all the so we got around 8 minutes left, so we gotta move a little quick here. But out of all the areas you've been to, states and cities, which is your favorite?
I love North Carolina because I came from California. I don't love California.
Yeah,
Um,
California is not California, as it's called now. Yeah, I'm not a
yeah,
fan of Cali
yeah,
either.
I'm not either. I just love having like the beach and the mountains and everything I need, but the people are not very nice. Like I don't like that part, but North Carolina has the beach, the mountains, everything you need, and the people are so much better there. So I love North Carolina. Another place I went up to Minnesota in the summertime. So Minnesota is really pretty in the summer. I know it gets freezing, but I love it in the summertime. Um, but those are my two top favorite states I've been to so far.
Okay, and other than California, what is your worst favorite, your least favorite?
Iowa, only because when I was there, I was working in -7-degree weather, and so I was
Holy
miserable.
crap! Wow.
Yeah. But that's the only reason because I was up there for so long, and then it was so cold, and then uh, I left there, and I did have to go back in the summertime. And when I went up there, it was like hot, and there was all of these different kinds of bugs, and I don't do bugs,
Oh
so that
yeah,
was
same
really
dude.
rough
Like,
for me.
so you were on the tower in -7?
This is when I was doing the monitoring, so I was actually on the ground, but
Oh, okay,
it,
yeah, yeah. Because I was gonna say, depending on the elevation, it should have been. I mean, yeah, on paper it's -7, but in theory it's like -14, depending
yeah,
on the elevation.
yeah, on the ground, it like with the wind and everything, it was like the temperature was -16, like the feels like -16, and so I can only imagine being up on the tower because it was so windy and like it was still snowing and everything. So I wouldn't even want to be up there.
Yeah, like for some reason in these odd states like Iowa or Rhode Island, Maine, like it's to wherever there's like a little state, it's not really a fun state to be in. I
Mhm.
mean, don't get me wrong, like I love Michigan, but this weather is just nuts, man. Like one day, like these past few days were really good, but then today it was just not t-shirt weather.
Yeah. Yeah, I was up in Michigan a little bit in the winter and it was snowy and everything, which I was
Yeah,
not a huge fan of Michigan either, but I'm sure in the summertime it'll be pretty nice.
yeah. Usually in the summertime, depending on the month, I mean, sometimes we had them in the 90s. but it's nowhere
So
near Arizona.
yeah.
So how long were you living in California for? Like you were born there, right?
Yeah, I lived there until 18. So I've only been in Kentucky for almost 3 years. In March will be 3 years.
And so why did you guys move for California? Like, was it more for opportunity, or was it just because the state sucks?
It was because the state sucks. But
Yeah, I
we
figured.
moved out here. Yeah, it was really bad. But we moved out here because my grandparents live here, and we've had a lot of opportunities. We didn't move here for anything other than my grandparents live here, and so we knew someone. Um, but we've had so many different opportunities come our way. Like I didn't think I'd ever get back in a race car, but thankfully I was able to. And like this job, I would have never thought I'd be where I'm at and have everything I have. Like my truck, this is my dream truck, and I never thought I'd be able to get this kind of truck, especially at 20. So it's presented me with a lot of opportunities, and I'm really thankful for it. I wouldn't stay here, but I'm really thankful for the opportunity I have.
Yeah, and that's similar to trucking, because I mean, I don't know, dude. Like out of nowhere, I mean, I didn't have anything with trucking. It was just something I didn't see myself doing. And then now, the beginning of the year, I'm in an 18 wheeler just driving nonstop.
Mhm,
And I mean, there's times to where I drive it just like a car. I mean, obviously, like I watch my tail end and all that, cause if you think about it, you're driving two vehicles, a truck and a trailer, and whenever I look out that window, then like it kind of brings me back to reality. Like, oh yeah, see, I'm driving a 80-foot truck. Um,
mhm,
but yeah. Anyway, so we got like 4 minutes left. Three actually.
mhm.
Um, so how long do you want to do the whole stock car racing thing for? Like, is this something that eventually you want to like put to the side, or is just this something that you can see yourself doing for a long time?
I don't know anything other than stock car racing. I don't think I will ever get out of it. I did like at 16 when I did get out of it, I never thought I'd get back into it, but of course the love for it was always there. I was trying to get in a car, and thankfully I was presented with the opportunity to. Um, and now it's just like it's kind of taking off. I've had a lot of publicity this season, which I've never had before, and I'm getting better. And um, I would love to continue to progress and see how far I can go. Of course, I don't know how far I can make it. I would love to make it to NASCAR, but that's nearly impossible. But I would love to go as far as I can with it, and I don't think I'll ever hang up my helmet.
I mean, if you think about it, because I was listening really good to what you were saying, and I mean, all it takes is for one person to tell you, "Hey, you can't go NASCAR," and then I'm sure that you would make it.
Yeah, yeah, I love to just prove people wrong. Like people have always told me, like being a female in a male dominated sport, I get a lot of hate, especially from the guys. And so people always tell me, you'll never win, you'll never make it, you'll never do this, you'll never do that. But I love proving people wrong. So it does motivate me. I don't, I mean, honestly, it takes a lot of money to get to NASCAR. So I don't know how far I can make it up, but I did back when I was 16. I made it. I was like legitimately a NASCAR driver. I had like a NASCAR license, but it was a home track series, which was still pretty cool. I got to tell people, hey, I'm a NASCAR driver, but I want to make it to the big leagues.
Well, you know what? If you do make it, well then you said it here first.
I would love to.
I'm sure it's possible, and it's definitely going to be a different hustle as far as that goes. But I'm sure if you put your mind to it, your dedication, I, I'll guarantee you that you could be there. Um, do you have any plans with the truck, or what's
Um,
done to it too? Like as far as like, is it lifted or because I don't think I've seen it.
yeah, it has a 6-inch rough country lift, and I have it's on 35s as well. I am debating on making it higher, but I also use it to tow the race car, so I don't want to make it too tall and have it damage anything from towing. So
Yeah.
right now I don't really have any plans. I want to like I'm debating on wrapping it, and I might put like a beefier bumper on the front of it with a winch, but I don't really have anything set in stone yet.
Any motor work done or
Nope, that's all stock.
yeah. I mean, like whether it's stock or not, I mean the 5.3 can handle some good power.
Hmm.
I had a Suburban that was a 5.3, and that thing was an animal. I mean, the trans was trash, but
Yeah,
that
that's
4L
Chevy.
60, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was good after being built like 4 times, but I, I do
Hmm.
miss it though. I do miss it a lot.
Yeah.
All right, well, we had a lot to talk about. Um, before we take off, where can the people find you at?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. My Instagram and TikTok is Ericka Ray underscore, and that's Erica with the CK. And then I do also have my racing page on Instagram and Facebook, and it's Ericka Ray Racing on both of them.
Yeah, and and if you want, you can send me the links so I could post them later. But so
Okay.
so what advice would you give people that want to come up in this sport?
I would say take every opportunity you can because like you're gonna be presented with opportunities and you're gonna sit there and be like, hey, I don't know if it's a good opportunity. Just take it. Anything. Like before I got into the car I'm in now, I went and did an enduro race. I just rode in it. But I mean it got me involved with some people who were racing and I got to talk to them about what I used to do and it opened a lot of doors. So just take every opportunity you can.
So when does the season start?
We start practice next month in March, and then the season starts April.
April, okay. I mean, sounds like a pretty cool thing, man. I might have to travel to check it out, like for myself.
Yeah, come on down. I'd love to have you down, and um, maybe we can get you in one of the cars for a practice lap or something.
Maybe you know what? I would be down for that. I'm not gonna say I'm nervous about it, but I'll be down.
Hey, take every
I mean,
opportunity.
yeah, as long yeah, we might have to put up some cameras too to watch. But yeah, I mean, as long as I have some headgear, I should be good.
Of course, well, we won't put you out there with no safety gear. I'll make sure you're taken care of.
Nice, cool. Alrighty, well, I appreciate the time. I know it took a while to set it up, but we made it happen.
Yes, we did. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, sure. And whenever you got time, just send me those links and I'm gonna post it later on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yep. All right. Bye.